Thank you for tuning into Sydology 101. I'm your host, Sydney Robinson. We'll get into the challenges of the dental industry, empower leaders to inspire their teams, and foster collaboration between office team members and practice owners. Together, we'll find creative solutions to get shit done.
Today is a very special day for me because I get to highlight the people that make it all happen behind the scenes. I get all the credit, but they do all the work. We'll start with Ashlee Hirschfeld, who has been with me for 13 years. She is the Chief Operating Officer for the Dental Success Network. Ashlee, a little bit more about yourself.
I started with Mark 13 years ago. I started as his personal assistant, like picking up laundry and that type of thing, because I just needed some type of a job. And he was a dentist. I refer to him now as a serial entrepreneur because he's always starting some type of company, and I've been along for the ride. So we've started dental practices, we've launched dental assistant schools, we've done all kinds of crazy things. And yeah, so Dental Success Network is where my focus is now as COO, and I have been focusing on the operations of the dental practices and of these organizations for the last 13 years.
This is Kay Lang. Kay Lang is president of the Dental Success Companies, and that includes the Dental Success Network, the Dental Success Institute, and I didn't mention to you guys the reason that we were invited to be here in the first place is we have DSO also called the Dental Success Partners. Kay is in charge of all of those and all of the people that work in those organizations. Kay, a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, that was great. That's what I do. So I guess my focus is day-to-day is entity structuring and asset management for Mark, who has a lot going on, as you can hear. I work very closely with Mark. We work together in Prescott, Arizona at headquarters. And right now we're, like he said, we're in an emerging DSO. And so we are fresh eyes on the industry coming in, and we're picking up on some of these trends that are coming in and the things that our PE firms are trying to see. So that's what we're doing right now. That's a huge project for us. And yeah, just traveling around and doing a lot of fun events and things like that with DSI is also very fun. I wanted to mention on the SOI side is the volunteer aspect of that is open to anybody. So you don't have to be a dentist to apply to go to Fiji to do a mission trip. So if you guys are ever interested, just go to smileoutreachinternational.com and fill out an application. We do grants. So if you're not sure if you can swing the bill, we can help you with that. So I just always like to say that because it's not an exclusive thing that we do. It's for everybody, and it's to help make an impact. And if that's something you're passionate about, we would love for you to join us. And
if you're thinking, I'm just an office manager, or I'm just the CFO of this company, I wouldn't know what to do if you put a suction or a handpiece in my hand, don't worry, we'll keep you busy. There's lots to do on mission trips. You don't have to be dentally inclined, and we will keep you busy. Next up, we have Mary Lafferty, and she is the co-owner of CMO Share, which is one of our sister companies. They do the marketing for the vast majority of the practices that I represent. Mary is the Chief Strategy Officer of CMO Share. The founder of that company is Ryan Gross, and he was brought into dentistry by myself and one of my partners, Dr. Addison Killeen. We shared Ryan as a CMO in our dental practice, so Chief Marketing Officer in our dental practice, and he was so effective, and we were able to figure out a way to scale his operation and the things that he taught, and he and Mary have been able to penetrate the dental industry significantly just because they have a way of doing marketing that is unlike any other dental marketing company. A little bit more about you, Mary?
That was great. Thank you, Mark. Yeah, so I've been in marketing almost 30 years now. That makes me really old, but I started in the B2B sector, and so I have a lot of experience with doing marketing for large brands like IKEA, Walmart. So I had some great opportunities, and I've started about 7 years ago. I got tired of the corporate world and decided to start my own consultancy called No Regrets Marketing. And Ryan and I, the owner of CMO Share, had known each other for a while and worked together. And so he invited me in, and we decided to start a dental marketing company, which if you would have asked me where my career would have led me to own a dental marketing company, that's probably not what I would have told you when I was 20 years old, but it has been a really exciting ride. We've grown like crazy, And I think the reason is that we just take a different approach. So every decision we make is based on data, and we use data to tell us what levers to pull next and where to go and the opportunities for our practices. So we like to work with practices who are really serious about their operations so that we can align the marketing data to the operations data and make sure that we're working together as a team. So
Awesome.
That's me.
Awesome. No regrets, huh?
No regrets. That's right.
Yeah, it reminds me. Have you guys ever seen that picture of the tattooed person that got no regrets? They spelled regrets wrong on the tattoo. I always think of no regrets when you say the name of your ex-company. Anyway, Sydney Robinson is the executive director of the Dental Success Network. Sydney started with me as one of my office managers in the Phoenix area for one of my 16 dental practices. And I am good at a few things. Number one, I'm good at surrounding myself with smart people. I'm good at spotting talent. And I typically am really good at being the dumbest person in the room. So I was able to pluck Sydney from the traditional office manager role and put her into an executive position in one of my companies, as Ashlee started as my personal assistant and Kay started as her personal assistant and she started as one of my office managers. There's a lot of upward mobility in my organization. We're going to talk a lot about picking the right people and improving your picker. And if you pick the right people, no matter where they start, the right people will elevate into a much higher role and they will prove to be, if you do it right, they will prove to be worth the risk that you take on them. And Sydney was one of those. She's been an incredible asset to our company. Sydney, a little bit more about yourself.
Let's just put it this way. I don't even know my job half the time. But what I love about this organization is, like Ashlee said, that we have this amazing leader who is a serial entrepreneur. And we just get so many different opportunities that has helped me grow. So whenever he comes up with a really great idea, one of the things that get me super giggity is the operation side of it. So it's about how do we get it started up. So once Kay does her financial thing and she's like, all right, Sydney, make it work. That is essentially where I come in.
Yeah.
In a nutshell.
Awesome. Awesome. I'm really excited to be here. I'm grateful that you guys are giving us your attention today. But more than anything, I'm really excited for these very accomplished ladies to be able to show what they have learned over the years in their executive level positions. And I'm sure if you guys pay attention, you're going to learn a lot from their brilliance. So the first round, we're going to do several rounds of questions with particular themes per round. Okay. So this first round of questions, we're going to call broad DSO trends and industry-wide challenges. And we're going to start with Ashlee. Ashlee, I have a question for you. Okay, so in your experience, what are the most common operational bottlenecks that prevent dental businesses from scaling? And what strategies have you found most effective in overcoming those bottlenecks?
Yeah, so one of the biggest ones, and it may seem simple, but something we see that people don't implement very often and very well, are having standards of care across their set of dental practices. And this is with their providers, but also just with their team in general. I was on a webinar with Dr. Summer Casmau, who's one of our incredible, brilliant coaches at Dental Success Institute. And she had mentioned it's not just about having the team know that, hey, we offer essential oils to our patients when they come in. It's no, the team know that there are these essential oils to choose from, that you put it on a 2x2 square and you pin it to their shirt, and that after 10 minutes you ask the patient, hey, is that too much? Is it overwhelming? How are you feeling? Each team member knows these little details that are really elevating your care. It's keeping everything standard across your organization, and it's just essential to the baseline. The way you eliminate that is just consistency of training. So you're making sure that you're talking about these things not only in your annual team meetings, it's in morning huddle, it's in your team members holding each other accountable and empowering each other to just notice these things and gently correct if you see it. So that's one of my biggest ones.
I love it. I love that you use the word consistency. We always have a word of the year. Some past words have been collaboration, consistency, curiosity, equanimity. Equanimity is a big one. Poise under stressful situations. But consistency is a big one. Calibration is a big one, especially if you're expanding from a single location to multiple locations. What we see a lot of people do, there's a lot of things that we see people do incorrectly, but one of the things that we see people do in haste is that they will throw together a bunch of different dental practices with no unifying theme, with no unifying core values, no unifying systems, and there's no consistency. And that is extremely difficult to manage. To Ashlee's point, when you're trying to eliminate bottlenecks, get yourself out of the way, but put good systems and good people that can integrate and implement those systems into place. And that's the first and most important step to removing bottlenecks and getting a cohesive organization. Sydney, I'm going to ask you a question here about hiring. So hiring and retaining great team members is a growing challenge. What strategies do you recommend for DSOs to attract, onboard, and retain high-performing team members?
Ooh, that's a juicy question.
It's a toughie.
It is a toughie because it depends on where you're located, your demographics, those type of things. So I'm just going to give you all a blanket statement, but no, I know that there's always special circumstances depending on the area. But I think it starts with having a super sexy ad. What sets you apart from the guys down the road or the gals down the road, right? What's going to set you apart from that other office that is also hiring for a treatment coordinator or an office manager? So I always like to sexy up my job ads. I also don't like to put, oh, we are an amazing DSO where there's growth opportunities and these type of benefits. I like to talk about who we are as a practice, who we are as an organization. So we hire people that fit our vibe. And our vibe is fun, energetic. We like to get shit done, but at the same time, we like to be goofy while we're doing it. So how can your job ad attract that person that's going to fit your office? And not just your core values, but your office, you guys as individuals, because how many of you go into work and you're just like, ugh, if I run into Susan one more time and she asks me about that mustard on that sandwich, those are the things that you want. You want to attract people that actually fit, that you're going to walk into your office and, that's my girl. I know she has my back, or that's my guy. I know he's going to have my back. We're going to GSD today. So I always recommend when you're posting your job ads is sexy it up. Also, if you are finding that, it is a shortage in your area, think outside the box. Maybe don't offer, oh, we have PTO. Yes, we can put that on there. Yes, that's important to people. But maybe you do something a little bit different. Maybe you don't have health benefits. So could you offer a gym membership? Could you offer a Skype in for childcare? What is it that's going to bring those type of people in that help solve some of the problems? Let's be real. A lot of them are female. Some of them are single parents, whether you're male or female. So it's not just about the money. And I find that when I look at job ads, especially on Indeed, if you guys actually go through it, don't they all look the same? So what's going to set you apart? So that's the first step. But again, I know there's more that goes into that. And then once you actually have that person in the office, you have to practice what you preach. So if you're going to post a really sexy job ad and say, hey, we're fun, we're energetic, or whatever your true core values is, then when that person comes in for an interview, it's not just about you interviewing them, it's also them interviewing you. So as you're sitting down and you're asking the questions, I avoid questions like, what are your strengths and weaknesses? I don't want to know that. I already know we all got strengths and weaknesses. What I want to know is, are you actually going to answer the question? So I try to throw people off guard. I like to ask, do you like murder mysteries? Do you like Legos or puzzles? Then what that's going to help me with is this person a problem solver? Do they think outside the box? I'm going to ask a question about who's your celebrity crush? Essentially, I'm trying to avoid them telling me what they think I want to hear. And then I completely break down that barrier, and now we're talking. But also, guys, if you listen to those questions, I'm trying to find out, is this person interesting? Are they going to fit our vibe? When I ask that question in our morning huddle, or I want to have a water cooler conversation with this person, do they have anything that's relatable to anybody on my team? Because I don't want that person sitting in the break room in the corner by themselves while all of us are over here huddled up together. So I like to ask those questions that are outside the box. Ashlee introduced me to this book called The Ideal Team Player, and we adopted that into our core values.
So it's humble, hungry, smart is what they talk about in this book. And I like to ask the question, when you hear these three words, humble, hungry, smart, what does it mean to you? Because those are some of the things that we do stand by. And so it's not about a right or wrong answer. It's about whether or not that person truly fits. And I truly do avoid skill questions. I don't want to know if you have 12 years experience in dental assisting, because I know the right person who has the right drive and the grit, I could train that person up to be an awesome dental assistant. And then that's going to go back into our onboarding process. Our onboarding process is exactly what Ashlee just said, is consistency. But I want to take it a step further for those offices that are multiple across different states. I know there's some larger DSOs in here. So if you're a hiring person and you're the ones that's trying to find someone that fit our vibe, then you have to know what that vibe is in the practice. You may go into, I don't know how many of you guys are working for a large DSO. You'll go in and you'll have this 6-week training where you're off-site and you're training this individual on your software, your core values, those type of things. And then you take that person and put them into the office. What if the office isn't doing what you actually trained that person on? And then you go in and you're doing your little scorecard. You're like, hey girl, you're scoring a 5. Guess what? They don't talk to the patients like that. We don't offer third-party financing. And so I always like to, if you're going to hire someone, you're going to have a solid onboarding, make sure that your system and operating procedures are intact and everybody knows what everyone's role is. Like with that consistency, if Ashlee was to come in and say, okay, Sydney's my treatment coordinator, can she step into my shoes as a dental assistant and know what it is that I do? And if she can't, maybe she can't, like Mark said, put suction cup in my hand, or clearly I'm not a dental assistant, but suction cup in my hand. But I've sucked spit for you. And Mark goes, Sydney, you're not holding it right. But guess what? I know I need a suction cup. Or
Suction.
stick.
There's no cup in there.
I'm sorry. But I know what it looks like. I'm practicing what I preach, guys. I know that he needs that. So I know he needs the room set up. Ooh, that was a perfect example. I have no idea what I'm talking about, but Lord knows I can look at pictures. But I should be able to go back there and I should be able to support them because we have a solid system, and we also have a really great onboarding where everybody can go in and they can help each other.
Good stuff.
That was a long-winded answer.
No, it's very good though. It's very good. Thanks, Sid.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. Kay, I'm going to move on to you. Switch gears just a little bit. And by the way, ladies, feel free to chime in. If I'm asking Kay a question and you have something to add, please feel free. Kay, what are the emerging operational trends that you've seen that DSOs should be aware of in 2025 and moving forward?
So I would say probably the number one, and you ladies tell me if I'm right, but are you guys seeing a lot of AI everywhere? So obviously that's really new. And what's fascinating about AI right now is it's growing so fast and it's evolving so quickly and it's so intelligent. It's making things obsolete very quickly, but in addition to that, it's making predicting the future very hard. So it's reducing barriers to things that we thought were barriers. It's solving problems. It's creating new material in the world, which is insane. So AI is coming and it's here, but can be wonderful or it can be really scary. So I guess when I think about this trend, the best way to navigate this new change is if you're not an individual that's particularly tech savvy, you might be able to empower the people around you that have a interest in it is probably the first step, or even inclination towards it. They're actually a proclivity very good at it without even trying. And so empowering those people. So when we were at this event 2 years ago, we were listening to Erica Dewan, and she was talking about, rather than mentorship, advocacy. And mentorship is great, but advocacy is better. So if you're seeing somebody in your practice or even in your lives who has a proclivity towards AI or another systems, or they just have a skill set, our job as leaders is to help them reach their full potential. And so I think when we're looking at AI, and if it's something you really enjoy, lean into that for sure, because it's not going anywhere. So you're going to be 100 times better for embracing it. But at the same time, if you're seeing people in the industry or in your practice and even in your lives, personal, encourage that. Make sure that you're giving people time. One of the biggest things about using AI effectively is learning AI. So that means setting aside the time to learn, practice, engage, take a course. So if there's any kind of budget in the practice for a CE, there's standard CE, you got to use your OSHA, I understand. But what if we get creative and we begin to empower our team to take other courses that will enable them not just in their professional careers, but in their personal lives as well? So I think that is a wave that's coming. It's already here, because I looked at the vendors that are at this event, and you will see a lot of AI-based vendors in the program.
Yep.
But
Awesome.
I'd say that's a huge one.
Just pushing on that a little bit, Kay, I think that one of the things that I made a big mistake with in the beginning of my career was not just with partners, but with selecting people for executive level positions, right? So I think that particularly with partnerships, many times we're attracted to certain people because they're very similar to us. They think the same as us, they have the same skill sets as us, but also potentially have the same blind spots as us, right? So if you are taking personality tests and you have somebody that has a very similar personality to you, you're going to get along with that person. But that doesn't mean that they're going to be a good executive for you or a good partner for you. In fact, I think a lot of times you have to find people that have complementing skill sets. For instance, these people are all up here because they do a lot of things better than I do. Most things better than I do, right? I come up with the ideas, I throw spaghetti against the wall, and they take that spaghetti and they turn it into a beautiful meal, right? I don't know anything about technology, but I know how to direct Kay to do a certain task, and she will utilize technology that I could never even fathom how to do. So I do think that it is worth stating that when you're looking for people to run your organization, you don't want a clone of yourself. You are the idea person potentially, or maybe you are the integrator and you need a visionary. But the bottom line is it's very important to have somebody that has complementary skill sets to you, not a clone of you. We do encourage entrepreneurialism within our organization, even amongst our executive level people. And that may seem counterintuitive, like I'm encouraging all of these girls to start their own businesses, and I support them in any way I can, even if for a portion of the week it takes their direct focus away from my organization. Kay is an author and an inventor. Sydney has her own consulting company where she goes on the road and she consults one-on-one with doctors and their teams in their dental practices. Ashlee has a company called GSD Queen, Get Shit Done Queen. Believe it or not, that's the name of her company. That's our battle cry inside DSI, by the way, is Get Shit Done. So she has a company called GSD Queen where she finds qualified people, executive level, all the way down to personal assistants, and she vets them for people that are looking for good staff people. So with that, I just want to ask you, Ashlee, if you could work off of Sydney's answer and tell us a little bit about your process when we ask you to find an executive level or a vacant position within our organization. What is your process for screening those people before? And she does a really good job of making sure that nobody comes across my desk for even a 5-minute interview one-on-one until they've gone through a series of filters. Because I don't want to sit there. Have you guys ever done like speed dating or dating in general? For me, it's been 24 years. But when you're dating and you sit down with this person for the very first time, and in the first 20 seconds, you're like, I would give my left leg to not be in this conversation anymore. And how many times does that happen when you're interviewing somebody or screening somebody for a position? She makes sure that does not happen. So anyway, what is your process, Ashlee?
Yeah, so Sydney, obviously your interview process is exactly what I do for an initial interview there too, but my biggest thing is skills assessments. Having some type of skills testing, even if it's just basic math and communication skills. We use a program called Hire Select that I rely heavily on because they have a really great platform for skills testing individuals, and it just saves so much time. I have this nightmare working interview drilled into my brain of a personal assistant I brought in before Kay to do a working interview, and she couldn't attach a PDF to an email. And I was like, how did we get this far? And I didn't know this about you. And I was like, I'm never doing that again. So does
that make her a bad person though, Ashlee?
No, it just wasn't right for our organization.
I can't do that.
To that point though, too, I was even going to comment on, we've done a really good job of cultivating, putting people in the right places for their skill set. He started as my assistant, is now the president. This is not my job. This is not where I excelled, even though we worked together for many years, but this was not my role, and she does it with so much grace and poise that I did not have. So anyway, so it's just about putting the right people and finding out, to Sydney's point, digging into understanding what their goals are, what they're really good at. We had someone in a customer service role. It turns out she's now one of our best marketing people because customer service was just not her jam. But we asked her what she wanted to do, what she enjoyed, what she liked. And investing in the people you work with and who work for you can pay off dividends if you're willing to put that time investment in. Skills assessments is my big answer as far as screening to get through, and then making sure you put people where they want to be too and where they excel.
Yep. Awesome. Yeah, sure, of course.
I want to add to Kay, you asked her about like the integrations and trends, and you brought up AI. And then when we're talking about hiring, AI, I feel like in the dental practices, I'm going to go more into the dental practice side of things. As we're thinking about those job ads, throw it into ChatGPT. Put your core values into ChatGPT. Tell it to write you a job ad, to do all these things. I tell a ton of offices that I go into, and sometimes I don't have all the answers, but I will ask the team, let's just throw it in ChatGPT and find out what it tells us. We had an office where they were doing unemployment, and they got a letter, and the office manager was like, I don't know how to respond to this. I scanned the letter, threw it in ChatGPT, and was like, hey, how do we respond to this notice that they got? And it helped us to where it saved us so much time that now she wasn't stressing out. She wasn't throwing it on the back burner because we procrastinate when we don't know things. So I did want to touch on what you had asked Kay about the AI and the integration part. Even with technology, as we were thinking about using something like ChatGPT or Firefly and all those things, as you're doing your onboarding process, maybe you already have some systems in place and you just need to fine tune them, throw those into ChatGPT and say, hey, fix this. In 2025, we switched from curved dental to open dental or something like that. Now let's change all of this verbiage to have it say open dental. Just think about how much time, because I'm sure there's some high level people in this room that's now saving you. Also, I don't know about you ladies, but y'all know how I feel about it. I have so much room for activities. I just wanted to piggyback off of the AI part, and then with Ashlee, the skill assessment. I know for us, I love that she bring up that she's skill, and I'm like, I don't care about their skills. Yeah, so that was actually Ashley's, but can they attach a PDF? I said, but can I show them? So I love that her and I
depends on how much time we have.
I love that her and I we do all the hiring for our organization, and it's just fun to see that our personalities are completely different, and it's really good because in a dental practice, someone can tell you that they know how to do a 3-surface filling, or they can assist, or they did lab and all that jazz, and then you throw a skill assessment in, they can answer the question. So it's not until you actually see them hands-on. I didn't think about that for if you're hiring more at an executive level, but Ashlee is right. You should know whether or not they can attach a PDF.
Can I add something to that? Since Sid's talking about ChatGPT, one of the things you can do that I learned in my employment branding days is if you have a specific type of person, if you want someone who's forward thinking or long-term thinking for your business success, think about the personal things that, like questions about their personal life that would drive you to an answer to show you that they would be a great person to think long-term. And ChatGPT, since Sid said that, is a perfect way to ask, what would I ask from a personal perspective to somebody if I wanted to know if they were long-term thinking? And it'll give you the questions to ask. For example, what do you think about when you're driving home at the end of the day? Or what do you think about at lunchtime? If they answer, I'm thinking about my kids' soccer schedule next Saturday and if I have everything that they need, or I'm thinking about what I'm going to make for dinner tonight and did I thaw the meat out? That tells you they're long-term thinking people that are going to keep thinking about the next step. So you can use some of those personal questions to really drive to what is innate, already built into people that you don't have to train, that fits back on the culture perspective that they would now make a great talent for your practice.
Yeah, that's awesome. Hold on to that.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I'm so sorry. But you brought up a great point that I just thought about too. Think about this from a perspective of the retaining. Like you asked us about how do you retain these people or in the onboarding process. Think about it when you're doing your reviews or your quarterly, because Mark talks a lot about doing your weekly, quarterly, monthly check-ins with your team members. Think about those questions too that you can throw into ChatGPT and say, hey, I know Sydney, she's getting married in a couple of months or she wanted to buy a house. Like, how can I first make sure that we're meeting her expectations as an organization, we're seeing her as a person? Or I know that I want to make sure that everybody on our team is growing in their position. So this is their job. This is where we want to see them be. What are some things that I can do to gauge or spit me out a scorecard that I can gauge whether or not this person is actually growing in their position or growing to where they want to be. So you guys can use those type of things too in the technology. I like what you said about the forward thinking.
To you, Mary. How has marketing changed in the dental industry in the last 5 years? And where do you think it's going in the next 5?
Let's see. So 5 years ago would take us back to COVID. So a lot changed. And in fact, anything you knew about marketing at that point in time went out the window. It was like, holy buckets, we've got to shift and we've got to shift quickly.
Holy buckets.
Holy buckets, right? What are we going to do? The conversation just changed. And I'm a big believer in the conversation. You have to have the right conversation with people digitally in order, you've got seconds to introduce them to that correct conversation. So COVID hit and there was a couple levers that really became prominent. One, health and safety, right? All of a sudden, that was always a piece of the pie, a piece of the conversation, but it's never been the primary concern until COVID. All of a sudden, everybody's concerned. And so we had to shift all of our practices really quickly to have that conversation up front and make sure when a patient hit a website or called into the office, that was like an immediate intro conversation that people had. The second lever was trust. Trust became an issue. People wanted trust. And what they wanted was trust through transparency. So an example of that is we always recommend to our practices to have a page on your website that lists your office fees. And it used to be that dentists and practices, oh no, I can't list my fees out there. It's getting less and less, right? But that drives trust through transparency. And the practices that actually did that showed a 20% increase in their organic traffic over that period of time. And we know that 10% of your web traffic turns into new patients. So if you can drive 20% more traffic, think of what that could do for your operations. It's incredible. That's where we started. Drive forward about 2 years later. Amazon has taught us all that we need things now, we need them quickly, and we don't want to have to return them, right? How many Amazon boxes do y'all get on your doorstep in a month? So the instant gratification, the introduction of that, and then the introduction of AI, technology is definitely a part of marketing and something that you really need to pay attention to, especially from talking about the AI perspective. Moving forward, there's 3 things you really need to pay attention to: speed, accuracy, and consistency. There's that word again. Marketing comes back to that as well, because the conversation you're going to have with new patients or users of your website or people who are interacting with your campaigns or even in the office have to be accurate and consistent across the entire experience. So the years of guess and go marketing, those are dead. That's not a thing anymore. And if you have a partner that believes in that, I would recommend that you shift.
Really good stuff. I was talking with Mary before we got up here on stage, and we were talking about this trust and transparency thing, and we were talking about posting your fees. And I remember when they suggested that I do this, when Ryan was my CM, that to post our actual fees on the website, it was like a sweaty moment for me. I was like, who would do that? This is so anti like what we've been taught forever about dentistry in general. We don't talk about fees. 10 different dentists are going to have 10 different diagnoses. Somebody calls in, don't tell them how much a crown's going to be. Be very vague. Don't tell them anything about a price. When you crest that hump and through analytics and data, that it actually increases traffic and it increases trust, increases like the number of patients that come through the door. That is the type of proof that people are looking for nowadays, and that's what's going to change behavior. Not just, it makes me uncomfortable. You need to come to them with, here's the analytics behind the decision to do this.
Exactly. And don't think about it as I'm getting nervous, I got to list all my prices. People want to have the conversation. So you have to have the conversation available, even if that conversation leads to a page where you simply say, if you have insurance, it's different for every patient. So please call our office and we'll gladly talk to you about what our cost and fees are. You have to have the conversation available for people, or you're gonna minimize that trust and they're gonna turn away and go find somebody who will. So think about it like your medical bills, right? Your medical bills just show up and you're like, oh, that cost me $4,000. I didn't know. People want to know ahead of time what those bills are going to be, what that cost is going to be. And if you are respectful enough to put that out there on the web, it means a lot to folks. It really does.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, congratulations. We got through round 1 of 16. No, just kidding. There's only 4 rounds, but that was round 1. All right, second round. The theme of round 2 is operational foundations. A big thing that we talk about inside DSI is operational systemization, operational foundations. This is what we're going to talk about in this round here, setting up for success. We'll start with you, Ashlee. Many practices struggle to transition from a single location to a multiple practice model. What key systems and frameworks do you recommend for practices looking to scale efficiently?
So I have to think back. It's been 13 years, right? And so when I was first started working for you, you had a couple of offices. And then you also mentioned when we started, like, we've learned a lot of lessons from doing things wrong.
Yeah.
Started to acquire multiple practices. And I think one of the biggest lessons we learned was treating those individual practices like individual companies and not integrating them as a whole. And especially, even as, I guess the short answer here is operational infrastructure. And where I'm going with this is during that time, I remember specifically we had multiple practices with different practice management software, like different systems, back to the care standards too. Not every associate was diagnosing in the same way. And it was a really big wake-up call as far as making everything cohesive. So when we made the switch, bit the bullet, and got everyone on the same practice management software, set up systemized meetings and consistent cadence with those meetings, it really just changed everything. Getting everyone on the same HR platform, getting everyone using the same systems operationally, I guess, is the big one there. And the running different practice management softwares across multiple locations was terrible.
Very difficult.
It was very difficult.
Yeah. Awesome. Great answer. Okay, Kay, I'm going to switch gears a little bit. And if anybody has any feedback about Ashlee's answer, chime in anytime. So what strategies can DSOs employ to streamline operations and elevate the quality of care?
Sure. So a little higher level, the organization as a whole should definitely have a board of directors. And the way that I think about that isn't like I guess it is kind of like Smile Outreach has a board of directors, but it's industry experts who know you and your team and your organization who are going to essentially provide you guidance. So when you are considering a partner or you're purchasing a practice, maybe there's a merger, you want to have the exact same optimized system, essentially. So you want to have this entity system that you're bringing in to starting new entities, and it looks like having an attorney. It could look like a real estate agent, a CPA, and this is the person, and these are the people that work together that are going to essentially provide you the guidance that you need to be really effective. When we started, and we were learning these kind of tools and these things that were helping us to be more successful, it would take us a quarter to get a new company up and running, to get everything filed, to get a CPA, to get the bank account. So this is pretty structurally, organizationally high level, but this applies to internal in the practice as well. So you're gonna have your own experts in the practice. Hopefully your team is cultivating their own skill sets in your practice. One for us, it's Kevin. We have a team member who's cultivating an incredible skill set in ActiveCampaign, a software that we use. He's now our Yeah, he's our go-to. And so I guess what I mean to say is it has collapsed our learning curve and has made starting and processing all of these different changes, like starting a new organization or bringing on a practice or opening another company, from what used to take us 3 months to what takes me a week, if that, maybe a couple days. And that's because our board of directors, our attorney, our CPA, our banker, our real estate agent, et cetera, they know what we do. They know Mark, they know me, they know what we're trying to accomplish. So I don't have pushback. I don't really have questions anymore. Here's what we're doing. Here's what we need. They tell me what they need. Now I have a system. I have a checklist, of course. And we get through it very quickly. And I feel like it could be very helpful for the practices to develop their own way of empowering their team. So as Sydney said, we can't all know everything, of course, but the better your team does, the better, and if there's an employee underneath that you're trying to advocate for and mentor, them doing great is you doing great. We want to make sure that we're really leaning on the people that are cultivating these skill sets. So if you have somebody in your office who's just outstanding on the phone, you're like, every time it's a close, that's really going to be on the board of directors for your practice. That's going to help coach and train and mentor other people on how to be better in that system. And I think that helps streamline operations for us significantly. And then I guess another one is the standardized clinical protocols. One thing I will say for that, in addition to the making sure that the systems are there and things like that, is the accountability piece. Your systems are only as good as you use them, as good as anybody else understands to use them, and that you hold them accountable. And I know hard conversations are hard for a reason, but accountability doesn't have to be painful. And one way that we do team meetings and accountability and making sure that, like, the systems that you have just talked about that we put in place, is by having regular meetings that are non-negotiable and they're not scary. And I think that a lot of times when we think, oh, I have a review, or I'll tell you, I'll be vulnerable for a second. When we started first implementing morning meetings at DSI, right? We are a small knit headquartered office. There's 6 of us there. We talk every day. It made no sense to me why we would have a morning meeting. I'm like, we literally talk 8 hours a day, nonstop, collaborating. Why would we need that? Once we started it has been one of my favorite things now, because I feel a little lost when we don't all touch base. So when I talk about accountability, it's this almost understanding and cultural acceptance within the practice that this is a non-negotiable thing that we do, and it helps us set the tone. It helps us be really transparent with each other. Hey, we have a team meeting. Everyone knows what they need to bring. Everyone knows what they need to say. When a person doesn't come prepared, it's very apparent, and without even having it to be a negative or horrible thing, we're just like, oh, we'll need that later. That's important. That helps us make decisions. I would say that the systemization, but the accountability piece of that is really important as well.
I like that. I want to just follow that up. The whole idea of a board of directors, and for you executives in the room, you practice owners in the room, or even executive level and above within an organization, I think establishing a board of directors is very important, but Kay put her finger on it. They have to know each other and they have to communicate. For instance, my CPA and my attorneys all know each other. My wealth manager, and we have a personal banker. Listen, guys, if you don't have a personal commercial banker that you could pick up the phone and, like, for instance, when I was in Mexico for one of our mission trips, my credit card got stolen. Hey, I had somebody that I could call right away. They put a halt to it and they ordered me a new business card. You guys have to have a group of people that has your back, that will pick up the phone no matter what. And if you're bringing somebody else into the organization, for instance, we as an organization are investing into some different areas, right? So we have some oil and gas people, we have some infinite banking people, we have some different people that we're trying to vet. Instead of vetting them ourselves, we don't know anything about the right questions to ask. The CPA, the attorneys, and the wealth manager get on a call with this potential person that we're investing with, and they go through that process. Not me. I don't know the difference. Hey, he's a great guy. We played a round of golf. I think I'm going to invest $2 million with this guy. That's the wrong way to do it. That's what your personal board of directors is for. Your business board of directors is for. And that goes for the same thing with finding a private equity company that's going to inject some money into your DSO, or finding the right banking partner that will be able to do certain things over here with your debt to income ratio, whatever. That requires a board of directors not looking through I almost said the yellow pages, not looking through the internet and just trying to find somebody at random. You guys, board of directors is going to liberate you in ways that you could never imagine. All the billionaires in the world have a family office. That means that their personal board of directors is all employed by this particular billionaire, and they handle all of their stuff. You don't need a family office if you have a good board of directors. They could be contract labor for you, but they have to put you at a top priority. So board of directors is a really big thing.
And if it's not at that level, like I said, it can be at the practice level. You can empower and bring people into those mentorship positions because almost rewarding them for the skill that they've cultivated. Because when I think about Kevin or Julia and all of these wonderful people, even Liz, who's done so much in our organization, when I think about them, that skill that they've cultivated isn't because of anything I've done. Like, that's their hard work, that's their diligence and looking into those things and getting on the calls with Active Campaign or whatever, and their interest ultimately. And so when we think about this also board of directors on a level that's more applicable within the practice, for any position, you might look at your team members and give them those opportunities to sit on a board of directors within your organization at that practice level, that we can all collaborate and brainstorm together and give them the recognition of, hey, you've done a really fabulous job cultivating this skill set. You're now the expert that we are going to go to because you've done such a fabulous job learning this new skill or helping us with this information. So I would say you can look at your life and your practice and apply this tool there as well.
I love it. I love it.
From those of you guys who are in the dental practice and not maybe on the executive, that when I think about that, what Kay said, those are our lead dental assistants, our lead hygienists, our lead admin. And for everybody who knows me, I am trying to eradicate front desk or front office, because we're not an area, we are real people. So those are our admin team members, like our patient care coordinators, our treatment coordinators. Those are those people, like Kay said, that's your board of directors. As you guys are talking about what's going on in the practice and not knowing all the answers, grab those people, because those are the ones that during our interview that we talked about what is it that drives them. Those are those people who are dreamers, who want to grow in the organization. And now you're giving them a voice. You're giving them the opportunity to actually help you with those operation flows and those systemization.
Hey everyone, we're thrilled to announce the launch of our brand new 12-week office manager training course. This course is for office managers and team members, designed specifically for dental practices that want to elevate their leadership, efficiency, and patient experience. Whether you are an existing office manager who is looking to level up your skill or you're new to leadership, this comprehensive course is built to deliver real-world skills and lasting results, y'all. What you can expect is a step-by-step guidance through the core pillars of dental office management, live coaching with myself and my partner, Kendall, practical templates, systems, checklists ready for you guys to use, or we may have to make a few tweaks to it, a supportive community of peers and mentors, and a certificate of completion to celebrate your success. And then a bonus, what you can expect is a complete book packet homework kit, which is going to be super fun because there's a ton of helpful resources inside of that kit that we will mail to you. So I want to take the moment to just let you all know that we have launched this. If you have not gone to foacoaching.com, head over to our website, check out the course, see if this is something for you. This, again, it is 12 weeks, but I have to let people know this is virtual. We can go at your pace. And for all of our listeners, you do get a $200 off when you sign up by using promo code 12week Sydology. So if you are interested in joining this 12-week office manager or team training course, head over to foacoaching.com. Go ahead and apply and get signed up, and we'll get you onboarded. This has been another episode of Sydology 101. Today's episode was sponsored by FOA Coaching. If you would like to find out more about team training or personalized coaching, visit foacoaching.com. Also, make sure to follow us on Instagram at Sydology 101. Until next time, friends.